Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the program. Now, the inflation rate for the month of January has dropped to 13.3%, the lowest in 3 years. The Statistical Service says the 2.1% reduction from 15.4% recorded in December last year is as a result of a drop in both food and non-food inflation. Acting government statistician Ban Wadie gives a breakdown of the inflation rate.
The fall in the inflation rate from the December rate of 15.4% to the January 2017 rate of 13.3% is largely due to the fall in the rates of inflation for housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels group, which dropped to 4.4% in January 2017 from a figure of 20.2% in December 2016. We also had a fall in the rate of inflation for transport from a figure of 27.2% to a figure of 24.6%. And then food and non-alcoholic beverages also dropped to 7.0% from a figure of 9.7%. And these are largely responsible for the decline in the inflation rate that we recorded.
Meanwhile, Mr. Wadie says the 11% hike in fuel price last month was a key driver of the increased rates.
Basically, I should be non-food because the drop in non-food items were higher. For example, the drop in the rate for housing, water, electricity, gas, and water was about 15.8 percentage points drop. But we also had the drop in food, which was also quite large, from 9.7 to 7.0, which was also quite large. And the changes or the price increases and depreciation we are talking about that occurred in January 2017 was largely that of petrol, which went up by about 11%. But when you compare this with more or close to about 60% increase a year ago, even for fuel and electricity, you realize that the effects of those price changes in January were far more substantial than what we actually observed in the current month of January 2017.
Now, away from that, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, this afternoon closed down an air conditioning manufacturing company, Park Plaza International, for defaulting the payment of tax for 2 years. Coordinator of the GRA task force, Henry Sam, says the closure has become necessary after several attempts to get the company pay the 2.6 million Ghana cedis it owed proved futile. He tells Joy Business, though the company made attempts to clear the debt, the payment plan was not feasible.
Park Plaza International Limited was audited by the task force, and then the local tax office, that is OSU MTO, spanning the period 2013 to 2015, years of assessment. A tax liability of 2.6 million Ghana cedis was communicated to the company. They failed to honor the obligation, the tax obligation, and subsequent to that, a final demand notice was issued. The company failed to honor payments in spite of these reminders. And as a measure of last resort, the Commissioner General, in conformity with Section 34 of the VAT Act 1998 at 546, are saved under the 6th schedule of Act 870 and paragraph 41 of Income Tax Act 2015, Act 896, issued a distress order to attach the property of Park Plaza International Limited for defaulting in the payment of taxes amounting to 2.6 million Ghana cedis. That was in March 2016. We have engaged the company over the period, and the company was asked to submit a payment plan. The payment plan that was brought to the task force and to GRA for that matter was a monthly payment of 5,000 Ghana cedis.
Henry Sam also served notice to other tax defaulters they would have their names published if they fail to comply with tax payments. He mentioned the new compliance checks to be embarked on by the authority as a measure of ensuring every company pays up taxes.
The Ghana Revenue Authority Special Revenue Mobilizing Task Force in 2016, in collaboration with the tax officers, collected a whopping 183 million Ghana cedis, mainly as a result of tax compliance checks, where scheduled officers, upon receipt of information from third-party sources, Controller and Accountant General Departments, Ministry Department and agencies, and other private organizations, went into the records of taxpayers and uncovered that taxes had not been paid to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Among the key irregularities were non-keeping of reliable records, double or multiple accounts or financial statements, non-issuance of VAT invoice, among others. These infractions basically led to the uncovering of the tax revenue amounting to 183 million. This year, the focus will be on intelligence-led tax compliance checks. The Ghana Revenue Authority Special Revenue Mobilizing Task Force has already written letters to the Ministry Department and agencies, as well as the municipal, metropolitan municipal and district assemblies, and other private organizations.
And away from that, the Bank of Ghana has finally settled on the new minimum capital requirement for commercial banks in the country. Joy Business understands banks must be prepared to up their stated capital to 250 million cedis within a year. George Wiafe in the following report looks at the impact on the economy, the banks and businesses.
The Bank of Ghana has settled on this amount after going through several scenarios presented to it by a committee that was established to explore the possible increase in the minimum capital that every commercial bank must have before it can do business in the country. However, it is currently waiting for government approval before it is implemented. So if it gets the approval, let's say today, the policy would kick off from next month. According to persons close to the regulator, commercial banks might be given just 1 year to try and meet the new minimum capital. Banks are currently required to have 120 million cedis as their stated capital. This should mean that banks will just have 1 year to raise some 130 million Ghana cedis. Analysts say most of the foreign banks may not have a problem meeting this capital, but the challenge will be with local banks that are currently struggling to even be in business. This is because you're learning that some of the local banks are on the verge of collapsing because a chunk of loans given might not be paid back. For some, the expected capital increase could greatly benefit the economy as we bring in more capital. As banks finance more big transactions, this could reduce the amount of dollars that are repatriated as profits when most of these deals are financed by foreign firms. The development could also lead to some improvement in access to credit and possibly some marginal decrease in the cost of credit. Now, this is because most of the banks might be forced to give out more loans to make some good profits, capital invested. The development might also force banks to embark on some expansion drive by opening new branches. This could lead to more employment opportunities in this sector. However, the challenge for some is that it might not lead to a decrease in the number of banks that are currently operating in the country. This is because the regulator has indicated that it has no plan of restricting the number of banks operating in the country.
And still staying within the banking industry, efforts to get Ghanaians in the diaspora to subscribe to the services of some local banks in the country have taken a further step. This has been made possible through a partnership program launched by MoneyGram and Capital Bank to enable customers outside the country access services of the bank through the MoneyGram platform. Speaking with Joy Business in an interview, Managing Director of Capital Bank, Reverend Fitzgerald Odonko, noted the bank is looking forward for more of such partnerships to enhance its focus of expanding the customer base.
Opportunity, first of all, to be able to extend our banking services to a wider range of customers, because as a super agent, we can then sign on sub-agents. And more importantly, it enables us as Capital Bank to be able to make our brand of banking available to more people nationwide. So for us, the partnership with MoneyGram International is very important. It also fits into our strategy of being able to rope in Ghanaians in the diaspora who have family back home, who have projects, and they need a partner to be able to facilitate the transfer of money. And we as a local bank are very much committed to that. So this falls within our strategic objectives. What's going to happen is that our services are going to be enhanced because we're going to use this collaboration to also give expression to some new products that we plan to introduce to give all-inclusive banking, make banking available to more people all over the country. So this is a strategic partnership, but it falls within our strategic plan of making banking services easier, simpler, and readily available to more people.
Now, Ghana could save up to 20 million Ghana cedis with the introduction of an e-procurement system. Statistics indicate more than 70% of the country's budget is expended through the procurement process. However, the lack of a robust system creates avenues for a chunk of the funds to slip away. Speaking at the launch of SmartBid, a platform that allows contractors and consultants to maintain constant availability for tendering opportunities. The co-founder for SmartBid, Simon Annan, says the new system would also help curb corruption.
Global trends drift towards the use of ICT and other electronic processes. Some stakeholders in the procurement system are stepping up moves to enhance procurement at various levels. The introduction of the e-procurement system SmartBid will provide a common platform for use by both public and private institutions in tendering and procurement process. According to the co-founder of the site, Simon Annan, SmartBid is expected to provide a major relief to contractors and suppliers.
So economic benefit to the government, as I said, the government is going to save a minimum of 20 million Ghana cedis a year on publication of tenders alone. Okay. There's also going to be a reduction of corruption. Now we'll be talking about corruption. In every organization, procurement is where people used to steal, because an accountant cannot just write a check and go and cash it. It's not done. So if everybody wants to get money to chop, or they want to do something, it's procurement. And because there's no transparency in our procurement processes, and people don't have access to some of the information there, people begin to do anything. And I give an example that whenever we do a competitive tendering, and we have a lot of companies bidding for that document, research has indicated that we save almost 30% of the cost of the product, because people know that it's a competitive tender, and when they are pricing, they price competitive. So the government side a lot, and then for the businessman, it's open opportunities for him to bid for government projects, because right now it's so tedious. The system is there for you to also advertise your product and services. You can even do a video ad okay, speaking about your product, and just post it there. And if you have 25,000 companies there, at least if 10,000 goes there every week, your product will reach a lot of people.
Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back. It's now time for the Joy Business Van. And the sale of chocolate products normally shoots up around this time of the year because of the introduction of Chocolate Day. Although Ghana is a major producer of cocoa, a large quantity of chocolate on the market is imported and consumers are spoiled for choice. Ekwia Obenewa Donko is a chocolatier and CEO of DecoCraft. She's gradually winning the hearts of Ghanaian chocolate lovers with her variety of products. The Joy Business Van today visits her operational center at Oforikrum, a suburb of Accra.
It's a busy day for Ekwia Obenewa Donko, owner of DecoCraft. It's a month of love and several orders are being placed for her chocolate confectionaries. Obenewa naturally loves to make people happy. Her business, DecoCraft, started off as a gift delivery service some 7 years ago while she was at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology studying to become a graphic designer. After school, she decided to move her business to another level.
Actually, I had this magazine for my mom, and it contained wedding cakes because I was making cakes. So I came across the word a chocolatier, and I didn't know who a chocolatier was. That was the first time I had heard about it. So I looked further into it, and I realized that a chocolatier is someone who makes candy out of chocolate. Okay, so it was a common back in Ghana, like where you go to the supermarket and you see small pieces of chocolate like this with fillings. Okay, so it came to mind that, oh wow, so we can actually make that in Ghana too, because Ghana is one of the world's best producers of cocoa. Yes, so since we have cocoa in Ghana, we could also make our own chocolates. Okay, so that was the starting of the chocolate dream.
Obenewa learned how to make chocolate confectionaries in 5 days. With the support of her parents, she acquired the equipment to produce on a large scale. She's currently converted a portion of her home into a production center. She's able to produce as many as 300 bars or more daily, depending on the orders. The popularity of her confectionaries has earned her the name Chocolate Lady. So what is different about her products?
We have a variety. Okay, so we have people who want a lot of milk in their chocolates, people who like less milk and more cocoa. Okay, so whatever you want, we can give it to you. These ones are milk chocolate with wafer.
Okay.
Yes, with wafer.
Can I try?
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
yeah.
Let me be the judge.
Okay. Yes.
It's nice, really nice. Obenewa's success could largely be attributed to the amount of time she invests in research. She's able to mold chocolate in different forms. Perhaps the most popular are her chocolate shoes. This chocolate shoe.
Yes.
Very beautiful. I mean, what inspires the kind of craft you do?
Okay, I naturally like colors. I like bright colors. I love red. So my company
red is hot and sexy.
Yeah, red is part of the colors. Okay, so I just, because of my art background, I want to bring some kind of aesthetic touch to chocolate. Like in Ghana, we are used to the bar chocolates because it's on the streets, it's everywhere. But instead of giving someone a bar, why don't you give the person a shoe? We have some bouquets. I think we have some at the back. You can even customize things for the person. Okay, we have chocolate bars. Okay, so and now we are introducing chocolate food for the guys because it seems like.
Obenewa has also made and packaged chocolate bars for President Akufo-Addo's inaugural ceremony. As accomplishing as that may sound, she aims to do more. She believes there is more value that can be derived from Ghana's cocoa.
I hope to take the Ghana's cocoa further. I mean outside Accra to Nigeria and other parts of Africa.
So you want to reach people internationally? Have you ever sold internationally?
Yes. They took us to a fair in France.
Okay.
That's where we sold. And people also always order and take it outside. We have this this brand. It's called Greetings from Ghana. Most people buy it and travel with it.
Nice.
Yes. Greetings from Ghana.
Great.
Most people buy it and travel with it in Ghana.
I see.
So you catch a repeat of the Joy Business Van at 1 p.m. tomorrow on the marketplace. It's now time for Busy Bits.
Many of us, especially users of the Start menuless Windows 8, use the Windows taskbar as a quick launch bar, populating it with our day-to-day programs. Opening those programs is as simple as clicking them. But there's actually a faster way to launch software on your taskbar. Simple keyboard combinations. Every program to the right of the Start button is assigned its own numerical shortcut, with the first program being 1, the second being 2, and so on, all the way to the 10th taskbar shortcut, which gets 0. Pressing the Windows key plus the number of the program you want to open launches it.
Joy Business Van, empowered by Joy Business and supported by...
And in interview of the day today, co-founder of UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amwabeng, has been reacting to the Bank of Ghana's decision to settle on 250 million Ghana cedis as a new minimum capital requirement. He tells Joy Business, although the capital increase is not bad, it is currently not in the interest of local banks.
The number of local banks which find it difficult to raise the capital now have to consolidate. So net results, we're probably going to have 16, 18 foreign banks and about 4 or 5 local banks. Is that what we want as Ghanaians, for the banking sector to go completely almost into the hands of foreigners? Is that what we want? Because that is what the consolidation is going to bring. That's where I have the problem, because you're going to consolidate local banks and virtually leave the foreign banks alone, because you can't force them to merge or consolidate. You can only raise the minimum capital, and they are in a position to actually meet those requirements. We've lost the mining sector, tourism, a whole lot of sectors. It's not in the hands of Ghanaians. It's in the hands of foreigners. Banking is mainly in the hands of foreigners if you look at foreign companies. But this action is actually going to put the banking sector firmly in the hands of foreigners. Is that what we want?
Is it a problem of a policy thing or what? Because some have also argued that for a lot of their local firms, sometimes they struggle. And even trying to consolidate to do things, they won't do it. Maybe, so that is where the problem is. I think that there's nobody has a policy of deliberately coming out to collapse local firms. But this is where we have to go. If it affects foreign firms, it affects local firms. The good thing is that we want well-capitalized institutions, and that is what we are looking forward to.
I'm not saying that local firms should not be wound up if they are not performing. We're talking about consolidation here. Now, Bank of Ghana, in regulating the banks, has other measures and ratios that the banks should keep to. For example, typical one, you're not supposed to do any facility which is more than 25% of your net worth. If my net worth is 60 million, stick to it. The bank can only do business up to 15 million max.
And it's a wrap for this evening's edition of Business Live. Many thanks for your company. Do join me again same time tomorrow for another edition. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good evening.